I'm Michael Reitz, and I'm running for State House in District 18. So we're riding in a Goblin kit car built by DF Kit Car. So you buy a kit, you buy a Chevy Cobalt, you buy fluids, and you can build a whole running, driving car. Almost everything on this car came with the kit. I put a few optional extras in here. I 3D printed them out for some gauges and things like that.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how is it that you became involved in politics? So as a professional, I'm an engineer. I work for a small process controls and automation firm, delivering creative engineering solutions to our customers' most challenging problems in industries like automotive, chemical manufacturing, food and bev, and renewable energy. The reason why I decided to run was that I felt that my community wasn't getting the representation that it deserves. And to me, representation, by nature, requires that your representatives are both accessible and accountable. And that's what I plan to bring to my community.
Are there policies as well you'd like to see changed?
Absolutely. And I would start with three things in particular. First and foremost, I would like to fully fund public schools. Public schools in South Carolina have not been fully funded by its own obligations since 2008. So we've got seniors graduating from high school now who have never attended public school in South Carolina that were funded the way that the state has obligated itself to fund public schools. And I think that there are many people now who see this issue as a zero-sum game where the only way my child can get ahead is by a plan that puts somebody else's child behind. Pulling money out of public schools is the opposite direction that we need to be going. School funding plans are based on a per-student basis. So for every student in a school and for their attendance and for their grades, the school gets X number of dollars. And recently we've fallen at least $700 per student short. And that's reflected in teacher wages, that's reflected in the number of schools that we're building, the number of classrooms we're providing, how well equipped those classrooms are or aren't. And it's an investment in our future. It's one of the most obvious investments that we can make in our communities and in our future. My second biggest priority would be to legalize marijuana. I think that there are a number of benefits that would bring to this state. First and foremost, it would bring huge tax revenues into this state. Based on other states that have already legalized marijuana, the state stands to earn $300-400 million per year in tax revenues. That's more than the state education lottery brings in. It would keep people out of the justice system. There's people locked up right now for simple possession or who weren't even convicted of a crime but took a plea deal to stave off worse punishment. It would free up law enforcement priorities. I think our police probably have better things to do than arresting people for simple possession. It would make for healthier communities. Legalization of marijuana has been associated with reduced opioid and alcohol abuse. It would keep users safer. We could cut out drug trade, trafficking, having to deal with shady dealers or whatever the case may be. And I think it's a no-brainer. It's extremely popular in South Carolina and nationwide. The last thing that I'm particularly passionate about that I'd like to bring to our state legislature is protecting a woman's right to access reproductive health care and whatever that may mean for her. I firmly believe there is no room in the patient's room for a woman, her healthcare provider, and the government. A woman should have every option available to her, should make decisions that are best for her based on whatever she thinks is important, to have a fully informed perspective, opinion, have all the available options to her. In my district, actually yesterday, it was posted online, we found out online from the Galveston Fire Department that there's a bridge on Highway 14 that was shut down for immediate need of repairs. Fixing infrastructure is a popular thing to talk about. I think as far as actual plans to make it happen are lacking. According to our current pace, we're not even keeping up with putting patches on top of pothole patches. And absolutely maintaining our roads needs to be a priority, but we need to get ahead of things. Investing in local infrastructure is one of the easiest things to do. It's tax dollars that are being spent on your community for benefits in your community. We've got at least 2 other bridges in District 18 on Wade Hampton that are rated as structurally deficient. And we would love to get to those projects, but we're not even keeping up with patching holes on brand new roads either. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, and I came out to the upstate in 2009 to go to Clemson, and fell in love with the upstate and never left. My wife's from Boston. We met at Clemson. She too now works in the upstate. It's a great place to be, and we love it here. I brought with me a love of duck hunting, so it's duck and goose season now. Not as great of an area for that as the Central Flyway, but we make do. One of my biggest inspirations actually was my dad, who ran for school board when I was in high school. And so I got to witness a lot of that, when you have issues with the way that you're being represented, of course you need to make your voice heard. But also, if you're trying to make your voice heard and it's not being heard, at some point, it's left to people to stand up for themselves. And that's what I think that I'm doing.
And what is it about the representation that you saw make you stand up now?
First and foremost is accessibility. I've heard from a ton of constituents in District 18 that our current representation is not interested in hearing viewpoints contrary to their own. And that is completely contradictory to what representation is. I understand at the end of the day that we're voting for a person, and a person has their own set of principles, but also by nature of representation, you're representing a group of people, and you need to hear what their opinions are, and you do have an obligation to represent those opinions as well.
What have you been doing so far for your campaign?
I've been knocking on doors, sending text messages, making phone calls, working on mailers, getting postcards out, working on getting a team around me that can help me. I feel like I'd be doing a disservice to my community if I thought I could do this by myself. I can't knock on enough doors and shake enough hands and meet enough people on my own to really get my name out there. We talked about this a little bit earlier, that it can be hard to figure out who is running to represent you and what they stand for. Also to get in touch with them. I've been doing a ton of candidate surveys. I'd like to believe that there's a point where if you do enough candidate surveys, that somebody can just look you up online and figure out everything that you stand for. We're not quite there yet. I don't know that it'll ever be quite that easy. But yeah, the ultimate expression of I'm here and I want to represent you is shaking somebody's hand and getting to talk to them, getting to know them. We talked about earlier that having a cool car is a great icebreaker, and that's been a lot of fun. Is somebody comes up to me in the parking lot, wants to talk about my ride, use that as an excuse and say, hey, you registered to vote?
Yeah, I can see that working quite well.
Regardless of whether or not you like me, everybody needs to make sure that they're registered to vote, make sure they've got a plan to vote on or before election day, whether it's in person, by mail, whatever the case may be.
And are you thinking of any particular strategies going against your opponent?
We know that this campaign will be an uphill battle. I don't think any campaign should ever be run with the foregone conclusion that somebody's going to win or lose. As part of the reason why I decided to run was, I think that the ultimate lack of expression of representation is not having an option. So I guess my core strategy is just to be, like I said, representation means that your representative is accessible and accountable. So getting out and meeting people, making sure that they know that, I expect to hear from them. We talked a little bit about, what does your professional experience have to do with your political priorities? I like to think as an engineer, we're trained in logical thought processes. One of the things that's been key to me in my professional career in achieving results is setting clear expectations. So I've set expectations for myself, and I think that the people that I've worked with as part of my campaign have the same expectations for me, that I'm accountable and accessible. My phone number's on my website, it's posted publicly. I've gotten positive and negative phone calls, text messages. But whatever somebody's priorities are, whatever their opinions are, whatever they want from me as a representative, I want to hear that. I'll have those conversations. It's not my job to change anybody's mind. It's my job to represent them and represent my community as effectively as I can.